All the Toy Stories are like perfect. It's kind of mad, but it looks really good. It looks like crazy good. Yeah, it's like that Paul Newman song, Strange Things Are Happening. All right, voices off, guys. Let's go ahead and start. I saw at least a few more people than like yesterday were getting at least some or all the second declension. So I'm going to flip to it right now so you can choose to not look up for a little longer if you're trying to finish it up. Raise your hand, though, if you got all of your first and or second. Okay, keep your hands up if you got all of or most of your second specifically, because first I'm kind of expecting that at this point. Okay, so y'all are doing better than some of my classes. There's like 2 of my 1.5 classes where it's like a third of the room's raising their hand. And this class and like one other one, I think maybe the 8th grade, it's like half the kids. So that's good. Let's see, are we still frozen? Oh, I didn't put in my thing yet. Okay, there it is. Okay, so I don't know what else to say about this at this point. I probably exhausted all of my tips and tricks and observations about the first 2 declensions to share with you. So there's probably not too much I can like add to that. Does anybody want to say something about what's working for them in terms of memorizing it, or any mnemonic devices that are helping Riley?
Well, I've noticed with the pattern for like mine and Genesis, like for the first question is it so it goes A and then A B so the end is the A B so it's I don't know, it's just the last one is nominated is the first one nominated, and then nominated is the same as the I mean right.
No, yeah, good. No, yeah. So you're picking up on patterns basically, and that's like the whole point of this. Is that there are patterns. It feels like randomness. Hopefully at this point, the randomness is starting to fade and you're starting to see like how it's repeating. It's a weird pattern. It's not like a normal pattern, but there is like a pattern, right? We have our nominative plurals repeating as genitive singulars for both declensions. We have these 2 big genitive plurals for both of them. The data, I'd say there's like almost no pattern here. It's weird that A shows up a 3rd time, whereas the long O is showing up for the first time, Alora. Here. And so dative singular, I think, is my least favorite spot on the whole chart, because I feel like there's like less consistency between the 2 declensions, Caitlin. But then you get to dative plural, and it's like, oh, we have another pattern again. We do long IS for both of those, and we can also skip accusative for a second and just fill in ablative plural while we're at it with the long ISs as well. And then accusatives feels kind of patterny in that it's like A and UM, AS, OS, A. A is weird, right? The neuter second declension A in the subject plural and the direct object plural, that's weird. That's not that weird. And also, that's like the last thing I want you to work on memorizing. If you just know masculine second declension for neuter second declension, that's fine, right? And remember, neuter second declension is the same, like where you don't see a purple ending, that means it's just the same as masculine. So it's really only different here. I just put it here just to be clear. And then ablative singular is all about these single vowels that are long. And then vocative either doesn't matter or it's basically nominative, with the only exception being that US actually turns into E. But all the other vocatives are just nominatives, if you even care about vocative. Vocative is in-game, second declension neuter is in-game. But the normal first and second declension, those should be something you're either very close to having all of or you just have all of them. Yes? Maybe. And I mean, that'd be easy, right? Like this E is the only time throughout all 5 declensions that a nominative doesn't just completely repeat for vocative. It's the only one. All the other ones are just nominatives. Yeah. So we'll use our noun chart on this translation quiz on Friday. And then 2 weeks from now, towards the end of October, we will have maybe a new noun chart with just 3rd declension and not first and second. And we'll use that for like a few translation quizzes before getting rid of that and having no noun chart on our translation quiz. Yeah? No, I took lunch. They're not putting those little things in the mailboxes anymore. So I guess I'm just doing the number and not the names, which is good because the names takes a weirdly long amount of time. All right, let's get in. So we have this too, but it'll come up today in some of the translations. All right, I really I do want to say I'm like really impressed that most everyone in here did their homework. So good job, guys. I really appreciate that because that is not the case for all my classes. Trust me. I'll see how it goes today. But how about I start a running tally? Homework. I don't know if this makes sense. If it's like a thing that should be rewarded, right? It's not really like incredible that kids do their 1 weekly assignment, but given how the first month and a half or so was going in terms of turnout, it does mean something. So here, I'm just going to count the one person because Nathan, I guess, was absent. Are you sure you were absent yesterday and Monday?
Yeah,
Okay,
he was.
okay. Anyway, so there's one person in here. So you guys won't see it till tomorrow, but we'll see what the other numbers are. I'm guessing next period it's like 3. Third period is like 5. And then my other 7th grade is probably like a little more than y'all. 4 or 5. And the 9th grader is worst case scenario, like 4 or 5. But hopefully some people can get close to where y'all are at. All right, who wants to read this first one in Latin? Kylie? Good. What did you get for this?
Will you be able, therefore, remain in your
Hey, can you say it one more time a little louder? Sorry.
Will you be able, therefore, remain in your
Pretty good. Will you be able, therefore, we would say maybe to remain in your beautiful country? Yeah, it's kind of weird when Debeo takes a complementary infinitive, we just say like should remain. But when Possum is taking it like it is here, we should say like will you be able to? And we need the to just to make it sound like good English. But anyway, the will is really the only mistake in Kylie's. Otherwise, Kylie did very well. Ava? And you said, were you able? Okay, I like that. Carson?
Therefore, were you able to remain in your small father?
Good. Not small, though. You're thinking of parvus, parvum. I guess we have 2 adjectives that start with a P. This one is not parvus, parvum, small. It's pulcher, pulcher, pulchrum. What? Not large. Yeah, beautiful. It doesn't have anything to do with size. It's beautiful. Yeah, pulchra, guys, is just bellus bellum, basically. Again, it's synonymous with bellus bellum. There's a word pulchritude in English that means like beauty, and it never gets used ever. Caden? Could. I like could a lot. Were able or could is great. Okay, good. So we like everybody who shared was basically like within 90% correctness. All right, paterasne. So remember when we're starting off with possum, that's kind of nice because it's like our verbs like happening immediately, so we can like extrapolate any subject type information from it. But also be sure to like just kind of disregard the name. All we need from it is that it's like, hey, I'm a question, which as English speakers, like we would know that anyway just by making it to the end of the sentence. Anyway, it's like, okay, this is a question. That's going to have an effect on how we order our words a little bit. So what person and number is pateros, Maddie Dugan? Is it first, second, or third person? O-S-T, Mustison. Yeah, and so our the pronoun we use as the subject is I, you, or it. Huh? You, exactly. Very good. You. So you, and then let's see, Laura, is it imperfect or future tense? We still have the same little somewhat confusing, not perfectly legible guide at the bottom here. But is paterasne imperfect tense or future tense? No, that would be, what would the future tense version of this be? Anyone? Not paterasne, be pater isne, yeah, with an I. So the A, Alora, makes it imperfect. So how are we going to start this guy off? You were able? Does that sound like a question? Alora? I mean, Ava, sorry. Yeah, were you able? So that's kind of like the big thing in questions is that you usually need a helping verb in English like first, like before even the subject. We don't want to start with you were able, right? Sometimes people ask questions like that where they put the subject first, but we do it, I think, knowing that it's not actually correct grammar. Like, have you ever heard someone like, oh, I can have that soda or whatever? And it's like, no, that's not how you would ask that normally. It's like you should say, can I have the soda or whatever. So just in questions, just keep in mind, you usually need a verb like right off the bat. And often it's like the helping verb. If it's like future tense, you would start with will, like will we be able to? If it's present tense, it would be do or are. are we able? In this case, not do, but sometimes it'd be do. And if it's imperfect, we would start with were, or who else? What else? Who used the word I really liked? Is it Caden, maybe? Yeah, what did you use, Caden? Yeah, so when possum is imperfect, like it is here because of the A, right, Laura? We can use were able, or what's a little faster, at least one syllable faster, we could use could. So could, then you. Could you, therefore, and this part's not too hard in the pulchra patria tua, so we can hopefully clearly see that all three of those go together. Our verb is second imperfect. Negator means therefore. And then this is called a prepositional phrase. Hopefully everyone can see that all three of these words go together. What is the actual noun here? Pulchra, patria, or tua?
Patria.
Yeah, it's actually patria, right? That's the actual object here, and it has two adjective buddies sandwiching it. So it's not just the country, it's your beautiful country. And then we have an infinitive, so I use my mathematical infinity sign, because anytime possum shows up, there's going to be an infinitive somewhere else. So the most important words in the sentence are actually the first word and the last word. If you translate those two first, that's actually great. You don't have to, but you can, because it could be like, could you, therefore, remain, right? This is the same as rimanere. Imagine there's a prefix there, in your beautiful country, which is what case? What case is in your beautiful country? Caitlin, what case is it? I gave it away. I'm just like testing, I guess, if you know your color coding. Yep, it's ablative. That's I use green for ablative, and but if I hadn't made it green, you would know it's ablative Y. Caitlin, what's the big giveaway? Yeah, the macron A's, right? We see a macron on those A's. We know we're looking at an ablative. We know we're looking at a prepositional phrase. So, could you, therefore, remain in your country? Weird. I didn't, and you're beautiful. I guess I didn't like pulchra either. And you could also say, were you able? You can totally say, were you able? That's just as good as could. I like could a little better because it's one syllable less than were. I guess it's two syllables less than were able. Okay. Any questions on this one? I should have made the could red. For some reason, I like using red for imperfect type stuff. And you can put therefore wherever too. You can start with therefore. You can put it where I did, right after the verb, or like between the verbs. If you think about it, like this is the first verb, and then this is the infinitive verb, right? The unconjugated one. You can put it at the end as well. Could you remain in your beautiful country? Therefore, that one's a little weird, but it's fine. All right, number two. Carson.
Ubi Chiron says, wearing on possum's essay with bear.
Good. What did you get for this?
Wherever the tyrant is, or just where the tyrant is, you are not able to be free.
Where there is
the men were not able.
What happened to my sentence? What is it? Whoa. Okay. Say it one more time. Sorry.
Where the tyrant is, the men are not able to be free.
Good. Okay, that's great. That works. Yeah, there's a couple different ways to do this one, though. Anybody else want to share? Ava again? Good. So what does ubi mean, Sam? Were you able to pick that up? It'd be kind of hard.
There.
Yeah, well, where? So ibi is there, ubi is where, but they're right close. They're right next to each other. So yeah, anyway, ubi is where. These are one of our new words, and they're hard to remember because hopefully you noticed, Sam, that like most of the noun, verbs, and adjectives in Latin look somewhat familiar. They kind of look like English words we might recognize, but a lot of pronouns, conjunctions, and adverbs do not look anything like any English word. So, I mean, this looks like Uber, right? Like the company that like taxis people, but that doesn't really help. Well, maybe it's like, where do you want to Uber to? Ubi means where. Well, it does help. Okay, so where, and then something like tyrant, where tyrant is, right? Like in the most grammatically not together sounding way, like where tyrant is. So obviously, how do we fix that? There's a few different ways. So Carson, what was the way you did it?
I added the.
Where the tyrant. Oh, so just adding the makes it sound a little bit where the tyrant is. That's okay. That's like base level. I think we could do a little better, but honestly, that's like totally correct. There's nothing wrong with that. But we could probably make it sound like a little more natural. What are some other ways of doing where tyrant is. This is something I think I mentioned this week, but I'm not sure. But I'm calling it the Dorothy in Oz construction. What does Dorothy say, Devin? Kind of, but what?
Best place.
What's her exact wording? I guess we can't remember it. Yeah, there is no place like you might say theirs, like with a contraction.
watched Wizard of Oz since yesterday.
Well, good. There is no place like home. So, in a sentence like this, where the subject is almost coming after where, well, in this, like the way Carson does it, he is making the verb come after the noun. And I don't know about you guys, maybe that sounds fine to you. It's like, it is fine. But to me, it sounds like a little odd. And so I might say where there is a tyrant, right? That's a way of getting the subject to kind of happen after the verb. Instead of saying where the tyrant is, where there is a tyrant. And so where did the there come from? I don't know. It came from the fact that that sounds maybe a little more like natural English to me.
Add Ibby in there.
Right, yeah, you need like ubi, ibi, tyrannus, s. It's not really that kind of there though, honestly. It's like yeah, that's the thing in English. We call it an expletive construction, not expletive like the curse word, but expletive like a fancy grammatical term that nobody knows. But yeah, that's what when you say like there blank blank blank, there is no blah 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 or whatever. That's what you're doing. But anyway, so okay, that's one way to do it. And then we get into our sentence. So where there is a tyrant, or where a tyrant is, or where I guess those are the two options. Then weary, which is what case, Grace? Not dative. We don't have any I's in the dative. Don't look at the orange letters. You know, we don't have to. Yeah. Well, it could be genitive. Maybe it is nominative plural. Since this is after a comma, it's after a verb too. It looks like we're kind of starting a second part of the sentence here. So we could definitely be on the lookout for a new subject. The first subject is definitely tyrannus, tyrant. But now after this comma, after we've already had a verb, we might need a second subject, right? That can happen in a sentence. That like every time you end a part of a sentence and start a second part, you might have a totally new subject. So it might just be nominative plural, non-possunt. What person and number, Maddie, is non-possunt? I'll be honest, guys, it's just good old present tense, right? It's based off of sunt, which means they are. Person and number, Maddie? You don't know the person and number? I think you do. I think you're confused and that you do know this and you think that you don't. Is this first, second, or third person? OST, must his end. Yeah, is it singular or plural? Is it T or no, Richard? Yeah, I guess it's obvious once you say no to one of those. It's plural. So, Maddie, I think you do know that, right? So next time I ask you about person and number, don't just shrug it off. Just sit and think for a second. It might take a second. I want this to be very fast and automatic for us, either now or very soon, like within the month of October, where you see an S at the end of a verb. Oh, second person, it's you. In U.S., it's first person plural, it's we. Y'all should be able to do that really fast. Maddie can definitely do it. She just is a little sluggish there, and it's early in the morning, so she wanted me to call on somebody else probably. Okay, Richard. So this is just possunt by itself as they are, possunt as they are able or they can. So men can not be, what do we call essay, Richard? Yeah. And what kind of verb is it? Think of Buzz Lightyear. We're talking about Toy Story today. Hayden? It's an infinitive. It's a weird infinitive, right? It's a weird one, so I don't blame you for not like recognizing it immediately. But yeah, what are most of our infinitives into with? Anybody? ARE or ERE? Maybe not anybody. So if you look back at this guy, it's like Maneiri. That's the infinitive buddy of possum. Possum will always have an infinitive buddy. In this case, it's Maneiri. Essay is just weird. Essay, and then also the infinitive form of possum is pose. So they're just weird infinitive because they don't end like this. Like all of our other verbs end in ARE or ERE. Eventually, you guys will get third and fourth conjugation verbs, and those end in short ERE and then a long IRE. And that's all the verb conjugations in Latin. That's it. But they all end in RE, right? The vowel might change a little bit, but it's RE. So essay and posse are very weird infinitives, but they are infinitives nonetheless. Oh, look, I had a little thing about it. So where there is a tyrant versus where a tyrant is. So I'm calling this weird. That's a little over there. It's not that weird. It's just like weird. And this is like a little better. Expletive construction, the Dorothy and Oz construction. All right. I need my infinitive. My infinitive sign, guys. This is important. All right. Are y'all glad it's Wednesday? I wish it was Thursday. I think this week's feeling long because I had to stay so late for auditions on Monday, and now I have to stay late again. Yeah, you're right, Caitlin. You're right to laugh at me. It's my fault for signing on to all of that. Men cannot be free. All right. Who can read? Number 3. These are pretty easy so far. Have you guys mastered Latin now? Oh, so I will say, I had people coming to me yesterday during essay, which is great. I love when people come and try to get help. That's like being very proactive. The number one problem I was seeing is that people weren't looking at their verb endings and seeing if verbs are first, second, or third person. And so they weren't fully understanding what their subject was. That is the key, right, Maddie? That if you just look, like, find your verbs, find their person and number, that's going to make translating so much easier, so much quicker for you, and so much more exact. A lot of people, like, I've seen this for years in my first year students, first or second year, where they, like, know the vocab. They know what the verb is. They obviously looked at the verb, and yet they haven't actually, like, looked at the ending in a way where they determine the proper pronoun that we're using, right, Caitlin? So just please make sure you're looking at verb endings. Like when Jamie tells us these 3 steps, I should probably, like, not even put find subject first. Find the verb. Like, that's the number one thing. That's it. And, like, sometimes the subject will be in the verb's ending, right, Caitlin? And then the grouping words together, that's good when you have longer sentences. But, like, find that verb, you know, or verbs. Who can read this one in Latin? Hayden, thank you. Excellent. Who wants to share their translationes? Caitlin? Even though you were rudely talking over me seconds ago. Go ahead. We'll always have many terms. Sounds good to me. Yeah, perfect. Anybody else? That's about it. There's not too much wiggle room on this sentence, other than maybe vitia can be translated as crimes or faults. So that's, like, about it as far as, like, what we can do differently. So the case of tyranny, Devin? Case of tyranny. Don't overthink it. Long I, first noun. It could be genitive, but what's more simple than that, John? More simple. Antonio? Richard? Just nominative. Yeah. So when you see a long I say only think heavily about it being genitive if it's, like, in the sentence. If it's, like, somewhere in the middle of the sentence. Genitives can be possessive of words to their right, but they usually tend to be to the right, yeah. Okay, they usually are possessive of words to their left. Okay. Yeah, they're usually possessive of words to, not always. So that's not, like, a great rule to go by. But if it's the first noun and it's ending in a long I, probably just nominative, probably. Right? It doesn't have to be, but, like, it's most likely it's just the simplest thing. It's the long I in the nominative plural spot. So tyrants, and then Nelius, do tyrants go with multa? Is it many tyrants? I don't want to say yes. Macy? Yeah, but Carson, does multa go with tyranny?
No.
Yeah, what does it go with?
It would, multi would go probably with vitia.
Yeah, but it goes with vitia, right? They have the A endings. There's no reason why, like, unless tyrannus was secretly, like, a neuter noun, it's not. It's just tyrannus, tyranny. It's masculine, second declension. It wouldn't have an adjective ending with an A ending. It's going to get a normal masculine second declension nominative plural ending, meaning a long I. Just like most of our nouns at this point, the adjective that's modifying it will have the exact same ending. Now, we have seen exceptions to that. Sailor, farmer, and poet are, like, secretly masculine, even though they're first declension. But that's, like, about it as far as, like, weird exceptions to that rule go. If those many tyrants, it would be tyranny multi, right, Nelius? It would have a long I right here, so that it would tell us what's going with tyranny. What'd you get, Macy?
And what I got, much time always have bad
Bad kings?
bad kids.
Kids. I don't know where you got kids, but it looks like you kind of swapped your direct object and your subject. Remember, when we see tyranny and we see along it could be nominative plural, we should think that is the subject, right? Instead of thinking many crimes is the subject. Many crimes could technically be nominative, but it's coming after something else that could have already been nominative. And it's actually what? What's the case of multa vitia, Kaylin? It's probably accusative. Good. And so, good. So let me write the word. I think I put it on the slide eventually at the end of this, but I didn't do it fast enough. It's from vitia vitii. These annoying, I can't talk, chapter 4, neuter nouns, it's neuter, right? That end in um in their nominative. And so they weirdly get these A's in their plural subject form and plural direct object form. It's weird, but it's not that weird. It kind of comes down to vocabulary, though. What are some of our neuter nouns? We have vitium, we have exedium, we have donum, we have basium, kiss, we have concilium, counsel or plan, officium, duty, service. I think that's like literally all of them. I kind of rattled them all off, like about 6. We have about 6. So when they end the A, in an A, be careful. They could be a subject. But if something already seemed like it was a subject, and it was more likely that it was a subject because it came first in the sentence, and it agrees with our verb, which it does, third person plural, right, takes a nominative plural subject, then maybe it's a G-O direct obj, right, Miss Fisher? Simper means always. Habebant is what tense David is it future or imperfect? Bunt. Are they going to have bunk cake in the future, or do they already have bunk cake? Anyone? Out loud? They will, because the bunk cake is futuristic, okay? It's basically a hologram. It's not real, right? My hand just goes through it. It's a hologram. It's a hologram to work. It's futuristic bunk cake. When you see that, that means future third plural. And that's not how you spell bunk cake. You spell it with a D and 2 T's. But this is the meme that we're trying to make a thing. So tyrants will always have many crimes. You don't have to put always here, but adverbs love to be kind of snugly with the predicates, like in the midst of a predicate. And remember, our predicate includes not just the main verb have, but the helping verb that goes with it, which in this case in the future is will. So will always have is the best way to do it. You can also say tyrants always will have. Tyrants will have many crimes always. You can put always at the end if you want. But I think it's best right there between a helping verb and a main verb. And many crimes here as a direct object. Any questions about that one? Pretty easy.
I got it exactly.
You got it exactly good. All right. These seem a little easy, but that's fine with me. We have some kind of more straightforward sentences. Because next week, oh my gosh, next week, third declension. I love it. I can't wait for the third declension. It's great. It's really great. Y'all are moving along like lightning. Who can read this one? Is this the last or second to last one? Okay, second to last. Who can read this? Ella, are you there?
I am.
You wanna? Would you mind reading this, please?
Sure. Pateratus pericula belli videri.
Very good. What'd you come up with for this?
I actually couldn't figure this one out. I only got up to number 6, so
Okay.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about this. Who wants to share? Kaylin, what'd you get?
Me?
Yep.
You all can see
War and money. Okay, so there's like one little mistake, but you all could see. You said can or could see? I think you said can.
Yeah.
So there's really just like 2 mistakes in yours. That's pretty close, though. You have the U exactly right, so that's awesome. Ava? Dangers of or, ooh, interesting. That might be 100% correct. Kaylin, is that kind of what you got?
Yeah, that's like that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this one's another one where it's not too much wiggle room. The smaller ones tend to be very clear cut, whereas bigger ones where there's like, you could have gone with it this way, or you could have done this thing. First one, what did you get?
I got the danger of war.
The danger of war could. So you're just leaving out the subject there, because it should be like you could see. But anyway, it was close. So, okay, once again, it looks like Possum likes to show up immediately. So that's fine. Possum shows up early to the party. We're ready for it. So Natalie, is Pateratus first, second, or third person? Right. So the subject's going to be you all. Good. And yeah, because the second plural. And I bet Natalie knows this, but I'll ask Aiden, is it imperfect or future tense posteratus? No, so let's make sure so are you looking at this I and thinking future? So, okay, that makes sense. I get that. But remember, that I is actually, now this is kind of weird, that's part of the tis, right? The OST must tis int. So that would be I no matter what, since it's second plural. So you need to look at the vowel that shows up here, which tells us it's what's imperfect. So that is kind of hard. That's pretty tricky. But yeah, if it was second plural future, it'd be pateritis, like I-T-I-S. So yeah, that's like a totally reasonable way to get confused about that. So sorry on behalf of Latin, that is a little tricky. But yeah, look at the vowel. Basically, look at the vowel right after R, right? The vowel right after R is going to be the thing that changes, whether it's future or imperfect. And then we're going to have the O or the S or the T or the must or the tis or the N. Here we have the tis. So it's you all, not can, not will be able to, but what, Aiden? You all. Wait, sorry, what did Aiden? Not you all will be able to, not you all can, but you all were able, or what's even better, anyone, is you all could. Yeah, I like could a little more than were able. It saves us some time. So you all could. All of that's coming from this verb. So look up here, guys. The you all is coming from this. You all. And then I guess could's coming from both of these. But you all were able. The able is actually coming from the active possessive, where the were or the fact that we go with could is coming from like the middle part, which tells us it's anyway, okay, good. And then I see pericula and belly. So this is a little tricky. You want to be careful about this. These aren't going together. This isn't like beautiful danger. It's not like dangerous war. We just need to be very specific about how we take this. What case is pericula, Dan or Hayden or Danny? What case is pericula here? Do I define pericula? So that's imperfect. Yeah, what do you think? Not genitive. It could never be genitive. Nominative. It could be nominative plural because it's neuter. And so the A means it could be a plural subject or a plural direct object. But we already know our subject is you. So we really aren't looking for a nominative. It would be weird if there was a nominative. So if it's not nominative, then it must be. I'm sorry? And so I guess it could technically be vocative, but vocative is imaginary, it doesn't exist. So it's actually anyone? Ava? I'm sorry? It's accusative, yeah. There we go. Okay, it does show up here. Yeah, it's another neuter noun, just like what was the last one we saw in the last sentence? It was what was the neuter noun in the last sentence? I don't have it in front of me. No? It was pericula. Oh, vitium. Vitium. We saw vitium with the same accusative plural ending right here. So since these sentences are so easy, it's kind of nice that we have a chance to kind of like zero in on something like that, like a little annoying detail, like with these neuter nouns. Vitium, periculum, donum, faucium, cetium, officium, and there's a sixth, seventh one. But they end in A in their plural subject form or A in their plural direct object form. It's usually weirdly easy to differentiate if something is a subject or a direct object. That actually isn't that tricky of an overlap. How do we know this one has to be a direct object, not a subject? Because we know that the subject is you all. That's how we know. So you see the dangers. This is a direct object, so it can come right after our verb. And then what case is belly? Kylie, what case is belly? Again, we already have a subject. It's you all, so we do not want to find any more nominatives. Basically, if our verbs are first or second person, we can just rule out all the nouns as being nominative. Like there just like won't be nominative nouns in sentences where the verbs are first or second person. Because if the verb is first or second person, it means the subject is I, you, we, or y'all. It's not going to be war. It's not going to be danger. It's not going to be anything else. So it really helps us kind of eliminate a lot of options. So what do you think belly is, Ava? Yeah, it must be genitive. So it'd be dangerous what? Dangerous blank war Jake. Someone said it, but let's ask Jake. So if this is direct object and it's being possessed by this, it's dangerous blank war. What preposition do we use for genitive? It starts with an O, ends with an F, 2 letters long. Huh? Which is what word?
Jeez.
Yeah, dangers of war. So haven't we seen this before? Wasn't that in like that first translation quiz where it was like foolish men praise the dangers of war or the bad of war? So we kind of see something similar to this. So yeah, belly was genitive, possessive of freakios with the dangers of war. We don't want to say you could see the war's danger. Well, no, you actually totally can say that. You don't want to say you can see the war though and treat like war like it's a direct object. It's possessive of the direct object. And I kind of skipped this part, but you know what you could do something, right? That's how this started. The thing you could do was the complementary infinitive, which in this case is videre, which is to see. I feel like a lot of us still don't know what videre is, so that's.
Did you put that sideways 8 up there?
Yeah, I did. What does that sideways 8 signify, anyone?
Infinitive.
Right, it's infinity. Not the exact same word as infinitive. Oh, you thought. All right, who can read number 9? Caitlin, thank you.
Wait, what's the number 8? You mean number 8?
Number 8. Did we do 9?
No.
Okay, good. Sorry. Thank you, Caitlin. What case Nathan is insidious? Not person or number. It's not a verb. It does almost look like it has a verb ending, but it's a noun, so it's case. It's a nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative, vocative, locative. Good. It's accusative, so it's what kind of object, Aiden? No, the accusative is our good old most important object, the direct object. Yeah, remember accusative, my favorite case is the direct object case. So we saw this in the story we were translating yesterday, a sentence where it started off with its direct object. So more than ever in a sentence like that, I really need to go find my verb. I just need to find that verb because I can't do anything about plots. That's what the word means, right? Plots, treachery. Before I have my subject and my verb, maybe my subject is part of my verb if it's first or second person. So I'm going to skip now, I'm going to skip here, I'm going to skip non. Oh, here we go. Tolerabos. That's going to clear up everything, basically. Miss Dugan, is it first, second, or third person? You said second? Good, awesome, yeah. So what's our subject? Is it I, you, it, we, y'all, or they? You said? Yeah, awesome, good. So do y'all see how that, like, how important that is? You is the first word of our translation, and we don't know about you until we've analyzed the ending of the last word in the sentence. That's how important it is for you guys to locate your verb in a sentence and maybe put a V over it just immediately and understand how it's ending and what that tells you about the sentence. So this is not going to start with plots or crimes, or not crimes, plots or treachery. It's going to start with you. And tolerabos olora, is it imperfect or future tense? Maddie, stop talking about there. Is it imperfect or future tense? I'm sorry? Yeah, it is. Good. So it's not you will tolerate. It's not you are present tense tolerating. It's you what, Olora? Are you like on your phone right now? Okay, well, something should be on your desk along with Kaden. You what? What's our helping verb for imperfect? Caitlin, what's our helping verb for imperfect? Yeah. You, not will, not are. You. Y'all should be faster about this. There's a not at play here. Ava. Well, so we only use could is just for possum. That's when possum is in imperfect. We don't have a possum in the sentence. This is actually a good old like chapter 5 style sentence. Caden? So here we need to use were. Yeah, we only use could for imperfect possum. For regular verbs that are imperfect, we use were verbing. So you were tolerating. Now we can go mess with our direct object. Now that we've broken this down to all of its parts, we can address our direct object. You were tolerating insidious, which is like what, anyone? Plots. What's the case of nautai? Sam? Case of nautai? So that AE ending's crazy, Sam, because it can be up to 3 things, not 4. It can either be like a plural subject ending, but we already decided our subject is you, so it's not that. It can be genitive, meaning possessive, like the plots of the sailor, or it can be dative indirect object. I don't think we have an indirect object in this sentence. We're not giving a direct object to anybody. So it must be first, second, or third one that I said. Probably the second one, right? Because we know it's not subject. And again, like if we don't have the verb dodare, which is to give in a sentence, we're probably not going to have an indirect object. I guess we could owe money to somebody, but we've never seen debeo show up as the only verb. Like that just hasn't. Anyway, so yeah, it's genitive. So it's the plots of the sailor, and Harry and non are just adverbs. So you were not tolerating actually, and you were not tolerating the plots of the sailor yesterday, right? So we need the not to go between the helping verb and the main verb, but yesterday can go any old place. Any questions on this one? Raise your hand if you had an easier time with this homework than previous translation homeworks. Okay, so hopefully that means you're just getting more comfortable with it. Also, I think this one's skewed a little easy, and that's fine. But then it's nice to have a little bit of a breather. But yeah, this one's skewed a little more straightforward. These are like smaller sentences. But don't get too headstrong, because that third declension, man, it's gonna be crazy. All right, we're kind of done for the day. Let's just get a sneak peek of the third declension real quick. There's still a sentence?
Yes.
Why am I? Okay. Okay, let's do number 9. Who can read number 9? We saw plenty of time. I don't know why I'm like trying to wrap up. Jake? Jake? Okay. This one's good. We haven't seen DeBeo in this set. All right, I guess not. Caden or? Yep, go ahead. Yes, please. Okay, well, I think there's one reason why we might be having an easier time. All of our verbs are showing up immediately, and verbs are so important that it's like forcing us to deal with like the most important part of the sentence first. But don't forget, guys, often you'll only have one verb and it'll be at the end. But when we have these two verbs and one of them is a complementary infinitive, it looks like a lot of times that happens. We'll have the first one as the first word. So debase is first, second, or third person. Antonio is first, second, or third person. OST 1, 2, 3. Second, so our subject is I, you, or it. Amazing. So you, and like I was just saying, I don't think we've ever seen DeBeo show up as the only verb in the sentence. So it's not going to be you, oh, because I can already see we got a little infinitive buddy here. It's going to be you, John, you. It'd be crazy if John remembered this. Probably not. Huh? No, it's not like that. Like debase is just present tense, so it's not like it's imperfect. That'd be debe boss. Should, right? So we translate debeo, deberi as should as soon as we see that there's a second verb in the sentence, like buddy. So it's you should skip, 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 skip. I don't want to mess with any of those yet. Okay, here we go. You should what? Moneri? Caitlin? Yes, Ava? Warn, you should warn. That's our infinitive, right? So you should warn. Again, the first and last word of the sentence were verbs, and they're the most important parts of the sentence. So you just want to skip everything that's between them at first. I give you full permission to skip over certain words until you know what to do with them. Now I can take a direct object. I'm ready for direct object now because I have a big main verb like that, and I want to warn a direct object. So what is my direct object, Soraya? What's that accusative here? In City East, not in City East. That long IS is not accusative. Riley, what do you think our accusative direct object is? What is Stoltos going with? Yeah, it's going with Weros. Weros is, yeah, that OS is accusative, plural, second declension. Weros is the actual direct object, but it clearly has an adjective friend. It's not just you should warn men, it's you should warn foolish men. Stoltus Weros. Stoltus is foolish, Weros is men. Day and City, so we warn people about or from things?
About.
Yeah, so day will be about here, not from. So you should warn foolish men about the what? What's Insidia? Insidia, Ava? Plots or the ambushes about the plots. Just say plots. Good. Okay, that's the last sentence. All right. So, I got 30 seconds, guys. Very cool. It's in your future. But how about we pull up a chapter 1 through 5 vocab deck and play through that a little bit. Y'all did good. Y'all crushed it today. Y'all should be proud of yourselves doing the homework. It's incredible. Truly incredible. Yes.
How do you spell your name?
CHEALANELLO. Therefore, my small class to play Jeopardy with, and the YMCA helped themselves to the buttons this morning. It was really cool.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah. It's cool. That yes, Ella?
Didn't we got to the third declension last year, right?
If we did, it would have been online, and so that's probably why I didn't like.
Yeah, I think we got to it online.
Yeah. All right, guys. What is et? Et.
Both and.
Both and. Shh. Voices off. Voices off. Jake, take a seat. Oh. What if I just called them out from? So, guys, when there's two ets, that first one, remember, it's going to be both something and something else. It's a way of having like a compound object in a sentence. And it's too easy. Back row, what is cogito? To think, like cognition. Second to last row, what is populace? People, like popularity, population. Second row, adiscintia, youth or young person. First row,
Form, shape, beauty.
form, shape, or beauty. When it's something easy like forma, just go with the easiest thing and go with form. Habeo is to what? Second row. To have. Third row, what is poeta? Poet. Last row, what is skip? What is Romanus? It's Roman. Also back row, since that's too easy. Amicus. Back row and Ella, what is amicus?
Friend.
Friend, right? Think of amigo, guys. You know the Spanish word amigo. It's also coming from the same stem. Second to last row, Waleos, to be kind of well or like strong. Second row, Malus. Bad, evil. First row.
Wait. Wale would be goodbye.
Yes, that's goodbye. I should start saying it more to remind you guys. Said is what? Second row. Third row, what's Kano? It's to dine. I heard somebody say it. Last row, propter. Because of, let's do one more round. Back row again, concilium is. Everyone forgot this one last week. Not conserve.
Oh.
Yeah, counsel or plan. Second to last row, last one, video is to see. All right, walete discipuli.